Venus is one of the most beautiful objects in Earth's sky. Today, the second planet from the Sun has carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere, which is 90 times as dense as our planet, and surface temperature average 800 degrees Fahrenheit. The detection of a phosphine gas in the planet's atmosphere could turn scientists' gaze toward one of the brightest objects in the night sky, the planet Venus, in the search for extraterrestrial life. In the toxic atmosphere of the planet Venus, astronomers on Earth have discovered signs of what might be life. The astronomers reported the finding in a pair of papers published in Nature journal have not collected specimens of Venusian microbes, nor have they snapped any pictures of them. But with powerful telescopes, Alma in Chile and the other located in Hawaii, they have detected the chemical phosphine in the thick Venus atmosphere. After much analysis, the scientists assert that something now alive is the only explanation for the chemical source. But what is the Phosphine PH3? Chemists compare phosphine to a pyramid, one atom of phosphorus topping a base of 3 hydrogen atoms. Here on Earth, phosphine is found in our intestines, in the feces of the badgers and penguins, and in some deep-sea worms, as well as other biological environments associated with anaerobic organisms. It is also extremely poisonous. Militaries have employed it for chemical warfare. It is used as a fumigant on farms. Some researchers question this hypothesis, and they suggest instead that the gas could result from unexplained atmospheric or geologic processes on the planet that remains mysterious. But the finding will also encourage some planetary scientists to ask whether humanity has overlooked a planet that may have once been more Earth-like than any other world in our solar system. The Venus planet is one of the most beautiful objects in Earth's sky, but at a closer glance, the less lovely it becomes. The dense atmosphere of Venus exerts a pressure of more than 1,300 pounds per square inch on anything at the surface. This is more than 90 times the 14.7 pounds per square inch at sea level on Earth, or the equivalent to being 3,000 feet underwater in the ocean. It is hardly a place that makes visiting or research easy, although that doesn't mean people have not tried. Russian, American, and Japanese missions. Space programs have tried dozens of robotic missions to Venus, many of them in the Soviet Union's Venera series. But the planet eats metal, within minutes melting down and crashing spacecraft that have landed there. Of all those atoms, only 2 managed to directly capture images of the planet's surface. In the year 1961, the Soviet Union space program began trying to explore Venus. In the decades that followed, it shot dozens of spacecraft toward the world, sometimes known as the Earth's twin. While Soviet Union exploration of Venus started with many misfires, the country became the first to land spacecraft on another world, and not long after, the first to take photos from the surface of another planet. Their engineering achievements were significant even by modern systems standards. Venera 4 in 1967 became the first spacecraft to measure the atmosphere of another planet, detecting large amounts of carbon dioxide that cause the ceaseless Venusian greenhouse effect. Then in 1975, The country's Venera 9 probe became the first to take images from the surface of another planet. The word officially meant Venus planet. The images and later missions sent back revealed a planet that was truly like no other, crack-trained beneath hazy, diluted neon green light. This planet we thought might have been covered in oceans and akin to our own was instead an alien world with poison rain. Later missions in the Venera series into the 1980s gave scientists a better understanding of the planet's geological processes. Venera 11 and 12 both detected large amounts of lightning and thunder as they traveled to the surface of the planet. Venera 13 and 14 were both equipped with microphones that documented the sounds of their descent to the surface, making them the first spacecraft to record audio from another planet. Another view taken by Venera 14, the lander instead 57 minutes on the surface, where the temperature was 869 degrees Fahrenheit and the pressure of 94 Earth atmospheres. In 1985, the Soviet Union concluded its Venus encounters with the twin Vega spacecraft, which each released large balloons loaded with scientific instruments demonstrating the potential for probes that could float in the planet's clouds. While Mars has always seemed like the apple of the eyes of American space planners, the Mariner and the Pioneer programs of the 1960s and 70s made time for Venus planet. In 1978, the Pioneer missions gave American researchers a closer look. The first of the pair orbited the planet for nearly 14 years, revealing much about the mysterious Venusian atmosphere. It also observed the surface was smoother than Earth's, and that Venus had very little or perhaps no magnetic field. A second Pioneer mission sent a number of probes into Venus' atmosphere, returning information on the structure of the clouds and radar readings of the surface. NASA's Magellan entered into orbit in 1990 and spent 4 years mapping the surface and looking for evidence of plate tectonics. It discovered that nearly 85% of the surface was covered in old lava flows, hinting at significant past and possible present volcanic activity. Also, NASA announced in 2017 for the larger, more expensive New Frontiers competition. NASA considered a Venus mission called Venus In Situ Composition Investigations, or RICI, which sought to put two landers on the planet's surface. It was passed over for Dragonfly, which will send a plutonium-powered drone to fly on Titan, the largest moon of Saturn. NASA, however, did provide money for some of the technologies that Wiki would need. Venus is being studied by only one probe, the lonely Japanese spacecraft called Akatsuki, since 2010. The probe missed its meeting with Venus when its engine failed to fire as it headed into the orbit. By 2015, the mission's managers had managed to steer it on a course to orbit and study the planet. The robotic space missions to Venus could also advance the search. India's space agency has proposed a mission, Chakrayan-1, in the coming years, as has a private rocket company, Rocket Lab. And also NASA, which has declined to fund a number of Venus missions in recent decades, announced in February 2020 that it would consider a pair of proposed spacecraft among four finalists competing for a round of funding. For the last 2 decades, we keep making new discoveries that collectively imply a significant increase of the likelihood to find life elsewhere. Many scientists would not have guessed that Venus would be a significant part of this discussion, but just like an increasing number of planetary bodies, Venus is proving to be an exciting place of discovery. The finding also follows the history of detections of gases on other worlds that can be byproducts of life. But these gases, such as bursts of methane or oxygen on Mars, can also be produced by chemical reactions that don't involve life at all. So far, such signals have been intriguing, but they are not convincing proof of aliens. To how these microbes got there, the best guess is that they originated on the surface, when Venus had oceans as late as 700 million years ago. But they were forced into the skies when the planet dried up, and nobody knows whether the microbes, if real, are based on DNA like us, or something entirely different. Before their imagination ran away, the researchers want to gather more telescope data and see their models tested and challenged. I want to hear what you guys think about this detection. Please let me know how excited about this. Are you skeptical about this? Let me know down below in comments. Until next time, stay thoughtful and stay curious.